Good afternoon, and welcome to a long-awaited version of Diatribes from the voice of Doom. Now here's your doubtful and dubious host, voice of Doom. Hello, everybody. Have a new venue right now. I'm using my kid's computer because I don't like the way the Kindle versions are coming out very well. So I'm in a new area and I got my maps and my pictures and everything else. That's a map from 1885, but it's still pretty current. Now, I want to talk about this because I don't want to talk about it later. And I'm not going to watch it, so I won't be able to comment on the content of the so-called hearings. I absolutely am not going to watch it. And I suggest everyone else boycott that particular televised fiasco, kangaroo jurisdiction of marsupials, because it's a waste of time. All it is political grandstanding, hoping against hope that maybe they can turn the tide. They certainly want to get rid of Orangey once and for all. And since Orangey was the main mastermind and ringleader of that horrible incident, which was much worse than December of 1941. Much worse than September 11th, 2001. Way worse. It's the worst thing that ever happened in the history of the United States. It's the very closest in all of history that the so-called United States came close to being overthrown once and for all by a group of about 500 people. Okay. I'm going to give you a few things I found here, and I can read it off my Kindle, so I don't have to write it all down. As a pro-Trump protest turned into a violent attack on the Capitol on January 6 last year, 4 people in the crowd died. Ashley Babbitt, an Air Force veteran, was fatally shot by a Capitol police officer as rioters tried to breach the House chamber. Now, if she was pointing a gun at the guy, then maybe he had a right to shoot her, but I think that they were just shooting to shoot. Kevin D. Greason died of a heart attack collapsing on the sidewalk west of the Capitol on January 6th, so we can blame the rioters for that. Roseanne Boylan appeared to have been crushed in a stampede of fellow rioters as they surged against the police. Ms. Greason and Mr. Phillips died of natural causes, the Washington Examiner said in April. He added that Ms. Boylan's death was caused by an accidental overdose. So even the right-wing orange people do drugs. Benjamin Phillips, the founder of a pro-Trump website called Trumperon, died of a stroke, obviously brought on by the rioters. In the days and weeks after the riot, 5 police officers who had served at the Capitol on January 6 died. That sounds interesting. That reminds me of a certain incident in the 90s where 4 former bodyguards of a certain president died at Waco, point blank. They were shot right in the head from behind. Interesting. Brian D. Sicknick died, who was attacked by the mob. Officer Jeffrey Smith of the Metropolitan Police Department killed himself after the attack. He was so ashamed of him not being able to circumvent an overthrow of the government. Howard S. Liebengood of the Capitol Police also died by suicide 4 days afterward. It's funny about the Democratic Party is every time something seems to get in their way, there's suddenly suicides all over the place. I wonder if the guy was suicidal before the attack, or if they decided that they had not succeeded in what they were supposed to do, and so they committed suicide. Or maybe, is it possible that maybe their testimony was not going to jibe with what the powers that be want to hear? I think that's very possible. Now, I remember vaguely watching a few things that happened shortly after the insurrection, sedition, the almost overthrow of the government, which they came very close to doing. And I remember that a bunch of Capitol Police were crying crocodile tears, that they were just so distraught over what happened. I don't hear about police in the frickin' cities being distraught over any of the riots that happened, where cities were burned and there was rampant destruction, deaths everywhere. I don't remember having anyone having a hearing over that where they cried crocodile. But these guys were crying crocodile. It was disgusting. Everybody could see through it. Unfortunately, every thinking man saw through it, but as Adlai Stevenson said, you need a majority to win. And that's not what we have here in America, well, what used to be America. We don't have a majority of thinking people. We have the exact opposite. We have a very, very small sliver of a minority that actually think. I'm getting kind of tired of it, and I've been building up my rage because I haven't been able to do my diatribes every day like I used to. So my rage is overflowing. And when I say rage, I mean I want to see a real overthrow, a real sedition. Get rid of all of them. Every last single one of them. And start again. Now, the reason I'm talking about this today, and it probably won't get on until later, because I don't know how to use this computer very well, but I'll have my kid help me. But I wanted to get my 2 cents in before the hearing, because I'm not going to watch it, because it's pre-planned kangaroo. It's just basically they already know what they're going to do. They already pre-selected the people on the committee. They pre-selected the people that would testify on the committee. Now, everyone knows, with half a brain, all 10 of us on the planet, knows that that was a setup from the beginning. They had every opportunity to secure the Capitol, every opportunity, for days ahead of time. And Orangey wanted security. He did not want a riot over the vote, even though everybody knows they cheated their asses off. Everybody knows it. They always cheat their asses off. If they can't get it by duping people into staying on the plantation and doing what they're told, then they'll do it by cheating. Now, the Democrat Party having these hearings is somewhat akin to a syndicate of 5 families having a hearing over whether or not, Michael Corleone shot the, police captain. I mean, first of all, the Democratic Party at this point is a crime syndicate, and they should be treated as such. They should be arrested on the RICO Act, all of them. All the rank and file, they can go back to their little cubby holes where they came from. You don't have to arrest every single one of them. You arrest the top leaders of the Democrat Party and all the leaders that are local leaders. All of them, arrest them. Every last one of them. They're all part of a conspiracy of crime. And anybody with half a brain, all 10 or 15 of us, know it. They've been a crime syndicate ever since Jefferson was president. And I don't mean Thomas. They've been a corrupt and racist party since their inception. So having them preside over marsupial hearings is a joke. And if it was up to me, I would cordon off the Capitol building during those hearings with the lower echelons of the U.S. military and say you're all under arrest, every last one of you. Every last one of you is under arrest, and it's under the jurisdiction of martial law. Because we're tired of you. We're sick of you. We're sick of your lies, constant lying, and doing it in a way that they are, they're high and mighty. They think they're the good guys. And America has been run by scum. I'm sick of it. I want this fucking government overthrown. Now, speaking of fucking, because I didn't want to get too crass, I'm really not into swearing, but sometimes it comes in handy. They're going to have all people that are on their side in those hearings. They're not going to have anybody that's going to say anything that they don't already know that they're going to say. So this is all a dog and pony, all of it. But if they did happen to have a few people in there, such as a famous scene in history when this guy named, what was his name? McCarthy was paranoid about communists. He was just like Schiff. He had it all in his pocket. I have a list here of all the people that are communists. And he actually got some power, and he had the Army McCarthy hearings because he was saying there was communists in the Army. And finally one guy in the Army just says, have you finally lost any shred of dignity? Have you finally reached the point where you have no shred of integrity whatsoever? And everybody was kind of hushed up, and then all of a sudden McCarthy went from some big folk hero to a drunken piece of crap that died a few years later of alcoholism, which is good. It's good karmic retribution. I wish there was more like that now. But these D's and these old craps, live forever. I think they're not human. They're probably from hell, and that's why they live so long, because I don't want to see them on this planet. I cannot stand them. And I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to do anything. I just wish they'd leave. It's like I wish that a bad flu would leave, or I wish that whatever, ailment I might have would leave. Just get out of my life. Get out of my face. Harry Reid at least had the decency to leave. Needs him. Now, what I was going to say about swearing is that it would be funny if they had a few hostile witnesses on that panel, which they won't. Whoever's being questioned, they'll all be saying exactly what the narrative is they want to hear. But if they had a few hostile witnesses, it'd be funny if someone asked a question such as, well, why did you not, block off the doors when the people came in? And the answer would be, fuck you, that's why. I mean, pure contempt of court, contempt of Congress. Yeah, put me in jail. Do you remember what you were doing when they were trying to get into the House chamber? How about eat my crap? That's what I was doing. That's what I like to see. It's like pure, hostile contempt. Yes, you are in very close to being in contempt of Congress. Yeah, well, what more can I do? F you. Eat my crap. Eat my shit. Is that contempt enough for you? Drop dead in a ditch. And he'd probably go to jail, but he'd be a big hero. Or she. Big hero. A lot of people would think, yeah, there's a real, used to be American. Drop dead. Eat me. That's what I'd like to see in some of those hearings, but they don't. Oh, thank you for the question. I hate that. Thank you for the question. That's code for I don't want to answer this, so I'm going to say thanks for asking it. Bunch of idiots, bunch of corrupt morons. So in conclusion, before I reach 15 minutes, I will say arrest every single one of the officials in the Democrat Party. They are a crime syndicate. They're guilty of every crime imaginable, including murder. I'm sure that these suicides were murders. I'm sure of it. But I can't prove it, so I won't do much about that. If I was a prosecutor, man, heads would roll. And I mean big heads. But I'm not. I'm just an ordinary idiot who happens to have half a brain. So I'm in a very small minority. So I'll leave it at that. I hope I can post this. I'm going to see. It wasn't too bad, I don't think. I didn't really plan much of it. I knew I was just going to be enraged, and that's all. So, I'll bid you adieu. I'm going to have stuff to do today. Goodbye.